Hi everyone, welcome to today's live IELTS class. My name is Adrian and I'm broadcasting to you live from Budapest, Central Europe, situated on the Danube, arguably one of the most beautiful capital cities in the world. I hope everybody's doing great. Hi Jay Patel, hi Parth Desai, good to see a member in nice and early. Hi Shaikh Umar. Hi, Pachu. Good to see you in class as always. All right. So today is December 29th. We are in the last couple days of 2018 according to our Gregorian calendar, of course. And today we are looking at IELTS Task 2 writing advantages and disadvantages. Hi, Jorge de la Cruz from Mexico. Hi, Prajim Lama. Good to see so many students in. All right, so our materials, as usual, they do come from our websites. So check us out there, aehelp.com for academic IELTS. We separate our websites. We have two of them. One is for academic IELTS, others for general IELTS. It makes sense. The writing and the reading sections of IELTS are different between general and academic, and it's a good idea to only focus on the one that you are planning to take or sit. So if you want to study for GI or general IELTS, go to gieltshelp.com and check us out there. Both of these websites have 6 original practice exams, over 100 hours of video lessons, a fully interactive course, and lots of help for your speaking and writing. All right. You can get our app from your iTunes or Google Play Store. Search for the Academic IELTS Help app with that shield. And if you have questions for us about IELTS or our products, just send me an email, Adrian, A-D-R-I-A-N, at aehelp.com. All right. Our live classes are usually Wednesday to Saturday between 15 and 16 o'clock according to Central European time. That's where I'm located right now. You can put that into Google to check the time zone difference. Tomorrow we will be looking at a process diagram, task 1, specifically for the academic IELTS. Hi, Nelson. Thank you for the salutations. No class on the 31st, 1st, or 2nd. Wishing you all a happy New Year's for January 1st. I'll give another shout out tomorrow for everyone. Stay safe. If you drink, don't drive. Take a bus, take a cab. Remember, safety first, okay? Have fun, but do it safe. All right. So let's take a look at today's IELTS Task 2 question. So IELTS Task 2 writing. I'm using a little bit of a smaller font so I can fit more on the screen. If it's too small, let me know. I can increase the size, but I'm trying to always adjust and figure out the best approach to the class. So let me know. Hi, Naveen. Good to see you in class as always. All right, so IELTS Task 2 writing. Always read the question carefully, slowly, pay attention. You should spend about 40 minutes on this task. Write at least 250 words. That means minimum. To get task completion score, you need to have at least 250 words. If you write less than 250 words, you will start to lose marks. If you write more than 250 words, that's okay. You will still get good marks. You can write 300, you can write 400 words. Just make sure you have good quality, okay? Don't sacrifice quality for quantity. It means if you can't write 300 words at a high quality, then write less, maybe even less than 250, but write at a high quality. Hi, Yu Yan. Yeah, I saw your email today. I replied, and welcome as a new member to our channel. That's fantastic. Okay. All right. So the question reads, recently, online learning has become very popular. Nevertheless, many people still prefer to learn in traditional classrooms. Discuss the advantages and disadvantages of both. Give explanations and examples to support your opinion. Okay? Kind of a interesting task 2 question today, especially because it pertains to our current situation. So you're learning from me. In some sense, this is a virtual classroom. You're learning online. Our courses are absolutely online learning, self-study. So it's an interesting and pertinent. Here's a good word for everybody: pertinent. Pertinent means it speaks true to this situation. A pertinent question. So let's discuss this. First things first. Always paraphrase the question, the task 2 question. Why is it good to paraphrase the task 2 question before you begin writing? This is before you begin writing. This is not necessarily a part of your essay. You should paraphrase the question on your note paper. Why? Why is that a good idea? So paraphrasing means to say the same idea using different words. So these days, internet education has become a widespread phenomenon. Even though, and I will read your answer, so don't worry. While I type, I pay attention. Prajim says, well, to understand the question. That's right. Too many students jump to the assumption that they understand the question well, and they begin writing, and then they write for 40 minutes, and there's no worse feeling than after 40 minutes looking at the question being like, that's not the question. That's just an awful feeling, so don't get yourself in that situation, okay? There are some other reasons why it's good to paraphrase the question really quickly in a minute before you start writing, so beyond just understanding. What is that? Okay? So, continuing with the paraphrase here, nevertheless, even though, or on the other hand, many other individuals are still in favor of learning in physical classrooms. What are the benefits and deficits of these two methods of learning? Okay. So that's my paraphrase. Don't be shy. You can paraphrase while I'm paraphrasing. If you got a different way to go about it, hey, power to you. Do it, okay? So here's my original question. Recently, or here's the original IELTS question. Recently, online learning has become very popular. Nevertheless, many people still prefer learning in traditional classrooms. Discuss the advantages and disadvantages of both. Another way to say that, these days, internet education has become a widespread phenomenon, even though many other individuals are still in favor of learning in physical classrooms. What are the benefits and deficits of these two methods of learning? Great. So now we're sure that we understand the question. And Oman, you're right. Paraphrasing is a way of demonstrating our view and understanding the question. Absolutely. Beyond that, we gather important vocabulary when we paraphrase. I'm not sure if somebody put that up. Again, para meaning close to, and phrase meaning a set of words. So close to set of words meaning the same as this. Okay. Yes, you gather some good vocabulary, you're clear, you start to think about the question. What's the topic of this question? What's the controlling idea? So when we look at this question carefully, what is the actual topic and what is the controlling idea? In a very simple format, and you need to identify this. I still see students who should get band 7, band 8 in IELTS writing, and they're getting band 6 and band 5.5 because they are not targeting the right topic and the right controlling idea. Marwa Kaabi says the topic here is education. Jubilant James says the topic here is learning, and the controlling idea is face-to-face learning versus online. Yeah, Jubilant James, that's absolutely right. Marwa, careful. Education and learning is not necessarily the same. It's because education is both sides of the coin. It's teaching and learning. Here, the focus is more on learning than on teaching. So it's a little bit tricky here, okay? So topic, absolutely, you're right. It's learning. And the controlling idea is online versus face-to-face. Versus, that's the short way. Versus, it's the long way. Face-to-face. Okay? Absolutely. So what is learning? Okay? And practice this at home before you sit the IELTS. When you're in the IELTS, you don't have enough time to do this on paper with a pencil, but you definitely need to do this at home when you're preparing for IELTS, because the better you can do this, the better your essay, the more you're developing your English vocabulary language, and the faster you will write a powerful essay for IELTS, okay? And Pachu, you're on the right track as well, okay? All right, so some good answers there. Kisi, good to see you in class. Don't get into the thesis statement yet. Let's just get our topic and controlling idea. So what is actual learning? Thank you, Jubilant, for paying attention to my specific question here, okay? What is learning? All right. So Mike Maddie, I allowed your email to show up. Just be really careful what you use that for, okay? So topic here is learning, and what is learning? It is to acquire, so according to Jubilant James, acquire information. Absolutely, to gain information, to get knowledge. And there is a saying that learning is actually two parts. One part to get the information, and the other part to be able to use information, okay? That's important, all right? To acquire and be able to apply information. I believe it was Confucius that said, I listen, I forget. I see, I understand. I do, and I learn. Okay? I believe that was Confucius, but one of you might correct me on that. So I listen, I forget. I see, I understand. I do, and I learn. Okay, so learning is two parts. It means we get information, but we don't just get information, we're able to use it. And there's no better way to prove that than with language, right? When you're learning language. So being able to understand when you hear English, listening skills, right, is one part. But being able to use those words and that grammar when you're in the speaking section, that's the other part. So that's the other aspect of it, right? So what is information? Well, it's to acquire and to be able to use it. Okay, why? So why do we want to learn? It might seem like kind of a funny question, but hey, why learn? Pachu, that's right. Doing is learning, and that's why one of the best ways to prepare for IELTS is just do. And the most do that you can do is writing and speaking. Write and speak as much as you can, okay? Begshot says, to get paid and pass exams, that's why we learn, like passing IELTS. Marwa says, well, maybe it's a little bit it's something else as well for self-development. Hank says, well, it's to become knowledgeable. Yu Yan says, personal achievement. Yeah, self-development. Feel good about yourself. Yeah, I can see that. Go back in time, ancient times before money. before feeling good, before getting trophies. We learned, as do many other animals in the world, such as chimpanzees and monkeys and wolves and such, for survival, first and foremost, right? We learn so that we can survive, live to see another day. We can become more efficient. There we go. Shaki Umar here is the first one to say it. That's to survive. To survive, to have fun, to be acknowledged, and self-fulfillment. Right? Those are some reasons why we learn. How do we learn? There are many, many ways. You don't really need to answer that question of how in this case, simply because the how here is the controlling idea of online versus face-to-face. So let's break this out now into two parts. Let's go online. Advantages, disadvantages, and let's go face to face. Advantages, disadvantages. So we'll quickly get a couple points down for this. It is definitely a good idea to do a little bit of planning before you write this task 2 essay. Otherwise, you're going to get into trouble. So what's the advantage of online learning? What do you think? Okay, so what are the benefits? Simran, yeah, gain reputation, respect for the reasons there, sure. Online advantages, Marasa says, well, we can save time. So yeah, it can be very efficient, okay? Learn wherever we are, whenever. Yeah, it's more convenient. So advantages, convenient. By convenient, we mean learn anywhere, anytime, sure. All right, that's very true. And also, Marasa says save time, like not having to travel, right? Okay, that's good. It can be cheaper, sure. Bagzad says it could be a little bit more affordable. Pachu, you're saying you have the option to find a good teacher, good resources. Yeah, lots of resources. And teachers to choose from. Thank you for many of you who are watching and choosing me to teach you some task 2 IELTS writing today. Yeah, lots of resources and teachers to choose from, and it can be economically feasible, so saves money or cheaper, sure, can be, absolutely. Thanks, guys and girls, for your comments. I appreciate that. All right. What are the disadvantages? Okay, what can be disadvantages? Murasa says disadvantages could be reduced confidence, so decrease confidence. I'm not sure why you said that, Marasa. I have a couple of guesses, but you might want to explain that to me more. Simran says there's less interaction. Yeah, it's true. I mean, I would love to see many of your faces, but sometimes the best I get is the little circle beside your names with a letter B or a J or B. Come on, get those avatars up there, just like Amjad Ali. Amjad, I can see your face. Jubalan, I can see your face. Even though it's little, I can see it. So that's good. But yeah, it is a little bit less personal, right? Less personal. Less personal, and because it's less personal, it can be less effective. Okay, we can get into why a little bit later. Okay. Less involved. Lack of emotion. Yeah, that's still in the same realm, right? And that's why it's less effective, because humans are very emotional. Lack of emotion, right? less feedback. You can get more feedback in physical classrooms if they're smaller and you're more focused with the teacher. Garim, that's it. The doubts can be solved less instantly, sure. Okay, but hey, look, online learning is improving. I mean, look at this live stream. We're interacting in real time, more or less, right? Not quite as much as in the real face-to-face classroom. Not yet, but we're getting close. We're getting close. Prince Ronnie says it can't make friends. That's not true, Prince Ronnie. I don't think it's that you can't make friends. It's more difficult to make friends, right? So it's more difficult to make friends. Yeah. And also, it's less stable, right? It's more changing. So you have different people at different times. So less social in some ways, for sure. Lot of big turnover. Okay, big turnover means that there's a lot of different people coming in at different times. Although, like Kesey and like Begzod and the people you're watching come up with green names, they are members of our channel. A lot of them interact with each other. They know each other. So there are other ways to be social. So we are solving these situations as online learning becomes more and more popular, but no argument, face-to-face learning does have some advantages. What are they? That's what we're getting into right now. So face-to-face learning, the advantages are more emotional, right? So basically what you can do is just take the disadvantages in this case and turn them around, right? So more personal, more emotional, real-time feedback, right? By the way, one that I didn't see, I don't know if anybody mentioned that one, is a lower sense of responsibility. Okay, that's a big one. And the way that I come up with that idea is I imagine myself, okay? So if I have all of you sitting with me in the same room, in a classroom, and I tell you to do your homework, and you know that tomorrow you have to come into my classroom and sit down and look me in the eye and say, Adrian, I didn't do my homework, and then see my very disappointed face, like that, that you didn't do your homework, then you're going to have a greater sense of duty to complete the homework, to do the work. So it's better, it's more effective for learning in that way, right? So it's a lower sense of responsibility or duty in online learning. And in face-to-face, one of the big advantages is a higher sense, or a greater sense, I should say, of responsibility. Okay, that's one of the definitely the big advantages of face-to-face learning. Okay. So greater sense of responsibility, and yes, I know there are those very responsible students out there who are really paying attention, so I'm not talking about you. Don't take it personally. I do know that some of you are very, very adamant in completing all the work that I give you, so that's true. So greater sense of responsibility, real time, more social, emotional. Okay. That's great. Disadvantages, we can basically take the opposite of the advantages here. So it's less convenient, more expensive. More expensive and less choice, right? Because you can only choose from teachers, courses, and classes that are either near you, or you can choose to move somewhere, but that definitely takes a lot more effort. Like if you go to university abroad to another country, that's going to take a lot more work. So yeah, so you're right there as well, Jubilant James. Limited resources, right? So Those are big ones. Okay, great. So let's move along here, students. Let's get that thesis statement. So what can we say for the thesis? Okay, so let's look at the question again. It's a really good idea, especially when you're practicing at home. Read the question before you write your thesis. Okay, so this is an important tip when you're practicing for IELTS, and if you take 2 or 3 minutes to do your planning in the actual official test. So you're thinking about advantages, you're thinking about disadvantages, you think about some of these points before you write your thesis, okay? So before you do that, you might write your hook, you might write the background, and then you write your thesis. Okay, before you write your thesis, read the original question just so you can be absolutely sure that you haven't missed something and you're not messing up, especially the topic or the controlling idea. So a big tip here is read the question real quick before you write your thesis statement. And your thesis statement needs to be direct, needs to include your points. So here, just real quickly, recently online learning has become very popular. Nevertheless, many people still prefer to learn in traditional classrooms. Discuss the advantages and disadvantages of both. Okay, let's see your thesis. Put your thesis up there. Absolutely, Jason Lee. Ask a question. Fire away. I'll answer it while some of the students are writing their thesis statements. Pay attention. It's asking you to discuss the advantages and disadvantages of both, right? Yeah, absolutely, John. You have to really pay attention to know what the exam is asking you. Careful, Mohammed. It's not asking which one do you think is more beneficial. It's asking you, that's a different question. It's a different type of task too, which it would be, which one do you think is better and why? That's a different question. Here it's asking you to discuss advantages and disadvantages of both. Okay? Naveen says, apparently internet learning is becoming prominent while some people still vote for classroom learning. However, I believe both learning processes have pros and cons. Naveen, that's a loose kind of indirect thesis. I would really prefer if you start practicing some nice direct thesis statements, especially with this type of question. Jubilant says, although face-to-face learning has numerous advantages, and is very traditional, online learning has increased in popularity. Jubilant, be really careful with doubling your negatives, although and nevertheless are both negative, creates confusion and it's awkward. Okay, so never combine subordinating conjunctions of opposition like although or nevertheless with another opposition like but or however. Okay, it's very confusing. Careful with that. Patricio says, learning online has some advantages like greater sense of responsibility and real-time class. Patricio, be really careful. I think you mean learning in class. So learning in class has some advantages like greater sense of responsibility and real time. However, it also has some disadvantages in a relation with online learning, as it is more expensive and has less choices. Patricio, that with those corrections is a very good thesis. Okay, just be really careful to make sure that it's sensible. All right. Otherwise, that's a very good thesis. You're absolutely on the right track. Okay, you've nailed it. Zoya says, nowadays e-learning is becoming very popular. Don't double ideas there. Popular and prominent have the same meaning, Zoya. Just choose one. If you start being wordy, it's called wordiness, that actually will decrease your score. Okay, don't be wordy. Nowadays, e-learning is becoming very popular, equal to physical learning because both have some strengths and weaknesses. Okay, Zoya, that's a little bit closer to what you want to write. All right, I'll get mine up there. It's going to be closer to what Patricio wrote. That was a nice direct thesis. So here we go. Traditional classroom learning has some advantages, like a greater sense of responsibility and interaction. However, it does have disadvantages when compared to online learning, such as less choice or fewer choices and flexibility and less flexibility. Okay? So that would be a band 9 level thesis, okay? And when you're practicing at home, this is the level of thesis that you need to get to. Nice direct thesis tells your reader very clearly what you're going to write about. Here, body paragraph 1 will be about traditional classroom learning, the advantages and disadvantages. Body paragraph 2 will be about the online learning advantages and disadvantages. And it's very, very clear from this thesis what the essay is going to entail or capture for the reader. Okay? All right. I see some other thesis statements coming in there. That's great. Let's start off with the introduction now. So introduction paragraph or introductory paragraph to be more accurate. Okay. Introductory paragraph should start with a hook. What would be a good hook? For this, here we go. Think about your hook while I write mine. Okay, don't pay attention to what I write. Just write your hook now. It should be quick. This should not take you time. You should be very well practiced for a good hook that captures your reader, gets you focused, and opens up with a clear, accurate sentence. No spelling, no grammar mistakes, okay? Hook, catch your reader. All right, that's my hook. Jubilant says, what one has learned will be with us till the very end. All right, I like it, Jubilant. It works. It catches my attention. Learning methodologies are always changing. Mohammed Nirojazi, it's a little bit better. So you're saying methods of learning are on the spotlight nowadays. I don't think it's a good hook, Mohammed, because I don't think it's true. It's very awkward. Methods of learning has been important for humans since the dawn of civilization, since the beginning of civilization, not nowadays. It's been important for thousands of years. So that would be okay if you say methods of learning have been important for people since the dawn of time. Sure. Begzod says there are many ways to acquire knowledge these days. All right, sure, absolutely. Class environment plays a vital role in the life of students. Marasa, I like it. It's more direct. It gets us even more focused on the appropriate contexts. So Marasa, I think yours is the best so far from everybody, including mine. I think yours is better than mine. So classroom environment plays a vital role in the life of students. Why? Because that could be online and that could be physical, so virtual or physical classroom. So it's very good. Okay. Prunal says the learning process changes over time. Prunal, that's also good, okay? Ladies and gents, do make sure that your hook does not have spelling, grammar, syntax mistakes, because that's an awkward way to start, okay? First impressions matter. the hook is good because it should be your first impression that you can write a clear, accurate sentence in English. And that's why you want to write a hook as well, because the hook is a simple 10 words or less sentence that's a good first impression. Okay? Don't use we, don't use I, don't use me, my in your hook. Just keep it very general, third person voice, okay? So people learn from the day they are born until the day they die. And then we write the background, okay? Again, for those of you who don't know, the background's very important in the introduction. The background is the definition of key terms, okay, and importance of question. So that's what the background includes. And ladies and gents, of course, I know it sounds silly, but I have to say this. Please don't write the word hook or background and definition and key terms in the actual official exam. I don't want anybody to do something crazy like that, okay? You just need to write the actual sentences. So that's just notes for you, okay? All right. So definition of key terms and importance of the question. All right, here we go. In the last century, technology has revolutionized the classroom environment. These days, students have a choice to learn in physical or virtual teaching environments. Okay, I'm just kind of moving along here. I want to get us going nice and smooth, so just bear with me. But definitely practice your background at home as well, okay? Your introduction should have this very nice, clear hook, very clear, accurate background, and then your thesis, right? So these days, students have a choice to learn in physical or virtual teaching environments. There is great competition among the 7 billion people for knowledge, wealth, and power. So the efficiency of the learning methodology is crucial for most pupils. Pupils is another way to say students. This is what you need to do for a Band 9 essay. Now, this is the first time I'm writing this. I'm answering this question as well, so I'm in the same situation as you. But I'm trying to show you that you can do this, okay? With practice, you can reach this level. And the thinking should not be a problem in the IELTS, okay? The only part of the challenge in the official IELTS that you should have when you write task 2 is just thinking of the best words and the best sentence structure, making sure you're not making grammar mistakes. But the idea, the knowledge, the content of the essay should be very quick in your head, okay? Don't put yourself in a very difficult situation where you can't think of the English or the ideas to answer task 2. That's a very difficult way to get a high band score, okay? The knowledge has to be in your head. You have to know what to write, okay? So here we go. Let's get our thesis in there. We don't need to rewrite that. Just copy paste when you're practicing at home on the computer. Of course, practice writing by hand as well, because if you're taking the traditional IELTS exam, then you need to have good penmanship. If you're taking the newer computer-based IELTS exam, make sure that you can touch type, okay? I definitely don't recommend Taking a computer-based IELTS, if you're looking at the keyboard and you're doing the one finger or two or three finger hammer, okay, you're going to be in a much more difficult position. In that case, just take the paper-based IELTS because it's better to write fluidly with your hand. If you're going to do the computer-based IELTS, make sure you can do touch typing. If you want to do that, learn touch typing. There's a lot of free software. One is called Rapid Typing Tutor. I'll put that up here. You can search for it online, and you can actually learn touch typing using English. It's a great way to hit two birds with one stone, learning to touch type and learning English. One of my favorite programs that taught me, it's old school, but it works great, is Rapid Typing Tutor. Okay. So put that into Google, maybe as 3 words, and you'll find it's actually absolutely free. It's a nice open source piece of software, and you can learn to touch type and learn English because it's getting you to write English words eventually. But don't do computer-based writing if you don't know how to touch type. All right, so there is our introduction. Let's read that. And make sure we're on the right path, and then we can begin with body paragraph 1. So people learn from the day they are born until the day they die. In the last century, technology has revolutionized the classroom environment. These days, students have a choice to learn in physical or virtual teaching environments. There is great competition among the 7 billion people for knowledge, wealth, and power, so the efficiency of the learning methodology is crucial for most pupils. Traditional classroom learning has some advantages, like a greater sense of responsibility and interaction. However, it does have disadvantages when compared to online learning, such as fewer choices and less flexibility. Bada bing, bada boom, you're on to a band 9, especially if you have no grammar mistakes. You're doing just great. Now you're into body paragraph 1. So, body paragraph 1 starts with the topic sentence. Topic sentence is an elaboration of your point 1, okay? So elaborate point 1 of your thesis. And point 1 of our thesis here is traditional classroom learning. So elaborate on that. What is that? Okay? So Kamal, that will be for body paragraph 2. So Kamal is saying online education is very helpful for pupils who live in small villages and do not have many resources for learning. Kamal, that will be a great explanation for body paragraph 2. Okay. Fazia, your thesis almost always will be the last sentence of your introduction. Yes. Kisi, technology has helped students to achieve their goals in different ways, like online learning. Yeah, so that would be, Kisi, your background in the introduction, which is good. Okay. Yep, Jubilant, thanks for seconding my opinion. Zenina, hook means a hook, like a fishing hook. You catch the fish with the hook. It's same idea in literature. It means a sentence that catches your reader. Okay. So still looking for this topic sentence. Jubilant says, classroom learning, face-to-face learning has been a tradition for ages. Jubilant, face-to-face learning has been tradition for ages. Okay, write it like that. Okay, that's the correction. Face-to-face instead of classroom, because it's classroom could be virtual as well. So we want to be more specific here. Pachu Yadav says traditional class learning has a great sense of responsibility. Sure. Don't use the word huge, Pachu, in your task 2. And I say avoid it in IELTS altogether. It's too colloquial. A lot of students love using this word huge. I don't really know why it got so popular in the world instead of big or great, but it's very colloquial. Avoid the word huge. Okay? All right, Pachu says there's good interaction between teachers and students. Marasa, careful not to bounce off topics. So you have the right idea, but make sure you stick to the classroom concept. So you're saying pupils learn responsibility in life from hands-on experience. You need to bring that, Marasa, into the actual targeted subtopic here, physical classrooms. So pupils in physical classrooms learn responsibility for life by doing hands-on or gaining hands-on experience. Then it would be good, okay? I know many of you like the word huge, but it's very colloquial, so don't use it in IELTS, okay? Nagar says, traditional classroom learning helps students have better communication with their tutor and gain inspiration. Nagar, I like it, okay? It's a fairly decent, it's one of the better topic sentences I've seen so far. Face-to-face learning creates bonds between teachers and students. Komal, that is a very nice topic sentence. So nice, I'm going to steal it from you, okay? So face-to-face learning. And I'm going to tune it up a little bit. So face-to-face learning facilitates. Here's a nice word for you. Facilitates strong social bonds among teachers and students. Yeah, that's a great topic sentence. Yeah, absolutely. I love it, Kamal. Very good. Face-to-face is done with these dashes, by the way. So face-to-face. It's 3 words representing one concept, so it's melted into one word, okay? Yeah, strong social bonds, right? So when you're in a classroom, especially if you have 6 months or a year, or maybe even sometimes more with teachers and students, you develop these strong relationships with those people. Facilitate means to allow or create an environment for development to happen. That's what facilitate means, okay? So creating an environment for development. So face-to-face learning facilitates strong social bonds amongst teachers and students, which leads, we can expand on that, to effective learning, okay? And then we need an explanation, okay? So now we want to explain that. So help me out here, students. Write an explanation. I'm going to write the same. Let's see if we're on par with each other. Here's my explanation. So when students spend, I'm going to kind of do this quietly to give you a chance. Okay, let's see if you've come up with some explanations. Here's my explanation while you're sending those off in the chat. When students spend 6 months or more in the same class, comma, because I have the subordinating clause here, Okay, now notice that I'm using in my explanation quantitative information, so numbers. 6 months or more in the same class with the same teacher and peers, they develop a sense of responsibility for one another. As a result, students are more likely to find the materials interesting and gain a sense of duty to complete schoolwork on time and to do their best. Okay, so that is a nice clear explanation. All right. So Pachu says, doing this, feeling, and ability of students can be found easily. Also, in which area has students drawback? Ooh, Pachu, I think I kind of understand what you're saying, but your syntax is really off. It means that your word ordering and your word choice is so off that it really messes up the grammar, and I can't quite understand what you're saying. But don't be discouraged. Keep trying, Pachu, okay? Try to express yourself a different way. Try another way. Try to be more accurate. Hank, avoid the word we. If we sit in a traditional classroom, we will feel much more convenient with our study, which makes us motivated to learn in a classroom. Hank, that explanation is a little bit of circular reasoning. It's a bit awkward. You want to rephrase that. You want to rework that. And avoid the word we, okay? Jubilant says, a highlighted sense of responsibility develops both among pupils and teachers with more time with each other. This enables both tutor and student to complete their work timely and with quality. Okay, you're on the right track, Jubilant. Definitely, you're on the right track. Okay, I think you can simplify what you just said in a shorter sentence, or what you wrote in a shorter sentence. Chandani says, when students spend quite a reasonable amount of time with their teacher, they can get used to the methods of their teaching or their instructions, to avoid the word using teaching again, Chandani, and become more interested in their academic work. Yeah, I see your reasoning there, Chandani, but again, you want to rework the sentence, pay attention to your word choice, okay? Hosanna King says, since the cognizance of interactive tutoring by teachers towards students provide an effective and efficient sense of reliability and responsibility for a lesson by discussing and understanding Hosanna, you ran out of space and you are way too wordy. Nice vocabulary, but not very nice composition. And you want your composition to be better, and you don't need to double words, okay? Tutoring by teachers towards students provide effective and efficient. Use effective or use the word efficient. Don't use both. Use the word reliability or responsibility. Don't use both, okay? So just choose one. Don't double your words. You're going to lose marks in the actual IELTS for doing that, all right? And definitely in university, your professors will not like you doing that. All right. Preeti says, students spend immense time in classroom with their teachers and peers, which is not only to solve problems, but also to develop a sense of responsibility for one another. Preeti, very good. Okay. That's a great start. Begzod Suyunov says, there are thousands of people all around the world who spend months or even a year to get high quality education by going to a traditional classroom. This time spent learning with teachers and classmates creates a sense of duty. Absolutely, Bagzod, you are on the right track. And I love how some of you are throwing in those correlative conjunctions. I am catching them, the not only but also. So good for you. They're not only improving their sense of responsibility, but also getting more feedback from teachers. Brilliant. Very good. Okay, what comes next? So I have my topic sentence, I have my explanation, and what comes now? What comes after this? Hosanna, I am by no means your highness. I am just simply your online teacher. But definitely, I want what's best for you, and I want you to get a good score. So do fix it. Okay. Begzod says example, example, example. Lots of people saying examples. Good. Preeti, example, before any kind of connecting sentence. And you need disadvantages before your connecting sentence as well. So pay attention to that. Yeah, absolutely. An example. All right. Now, this is third person. I'm not sure if many of you caught that. I believe this is a third person voice here. So give explanations, examples to support your opinion. It's not asking for examples from your own knowledge or experience. So you can write this in third person, not using you or I. Okay, no second person, no first person. So example. All right. Most students in elementary school from grade 1 to 6, or whatever school system you have, of course, from grade 1 to 6, spend an entire year with the same teacher and classmates. During this time, they learn to respect their teacher and engage in many subjects like math and language study or languages, and language where they are graded and given a report card. Okay, so that's my example to back up the explanation here. It works. It's okay. I think I could probably do better, but hey, it's a strong enough example. I'm definitely still within my Band 8, Band 9 domain, all right? Pachu's going in the first person voice. That's fine, Pachu. I think you could squeeze in first person here. I acquired a high school education from learning in a classroom. I always felt a deep sense of responsibility to get my essays done on time, and for this reason, I always got an A, or 80% or higher. Pachu, good. Okay, just finish that off, all right? So finish that off. Okay, so that's our example. Now we need to include the disadvantages as well in the same paragraph. Nevertheless, just throw a comma in here real quick. All right, so nevertheless, it is difficult to go to class for many students as they live far from schools and they may need to pay much money for their studies. Okay, so you don't want to drag it out. Remember, it's minimum 250 words and you have 40 minutes. So you have to be careful not to write too much information and drag it out. These shortcomings of in-class learning can be remedied by technology. That is my connecting sentence. Okay? So I'm teaching you some vocabulary there as well. Shortcomings is another way to say disadvantages or deficits, okay? In-class learning, in-class done with a dash, is another way to say face-to-face learning or physical classroom learning, okay? Learning paraphrasing is very, very, very important. Nagar Bunny Safar says, on the other hand, it's hard for many students to wake up and go to class in the morning because they are night owls. Don't use contractions, okay, Nagir? They are. Don't say they're. And don't use the word cause. Use because. Cause is slang. You would not want to use that, especially in your academic writing. Okay, and then comes body paragraph 2. And body paragraph 2 also starts with a topic sentence. Just like body paragraph 1, but of course that's going to focus on online learning. Okay, so now we've run out of time for body paragraph 2 in conclusion, ladies and gents, but worry not. Body paragraph 2 and your conclusion are for homework. So complete body paragraph 2, complete the conclusion. You know what the thesis is. If you don't know how to write a conclusion, look at some of the other videos on the channel where we include the conclusion in the learning and send them to me. Please have a sense of responsibility and duty in online learning, just as you do in in-class learning, and send me your responses. I will give you a score estimate and let you know how you're doing. If I have a bit of time, I'll give you some feedback on what you can do to improve as well. You can send body paragraph 2 and the conclusion to my company email, adrian@aehelp.com. When you're doing that, please do yourself a favor. Help yourself get a high IELTS band score. Check us out at aehelp.com. Academic IELTS. For general IELTS, check us out at gieltshelp.com. I'm looking forward to seeing the end of this essay. You should have a good idea now of how to write body paragraph 2. Of course, you're focusing on the advantages and disadvantages of online learning. All right, everyone. I hope to see most of you tomorrow. Members, Preeti, Marwa, I definitely, Begzod, hope to see you tomorrow. Naveen, in the task 1 process diagram class that was requested by Begzod. It was a good question, so I'm looking forward to teaching you that tomorrow. And then we don't have class for a couple of days because of the New Year's and New Year's celebrations. So make sure you attend tomorrow the same time, okay? And until then, and even throughout the New Year's, check us out. Join us. Learn. Improve your band scores. Pass IELTS. And learn good techniques for university. Much love to all of you. Bye for now. If I don't see you tomorrow, see you in the new year.